hurricane in the first week of July, an early start to the Atlantic storm season. We're looking at the impact and how leaders in the area feel about response to Elsa. Congressman John Rutherford is with us. He's focused on an air travel issue, and we'll find out more on the Essential Caregivers Act that he introduced. And a look at state politics, even more than a year from the hottest competition. Charlie Crist earns a key local endorsement. We'll ask State Senator Audrey Gibson why she supports the former governor to become governor once again on This Week in Jacksonville.
And thank you for joining us today, State Senator Audrey Gibson, longtime public servant and leading Democrat in Jacksonville, and a former Senate minority leader. And Senator Gibson, it's good to have you back. You were just mentioning, Ken, I don't think I've ever said no to being on the show. So thank you. Thanks for your availability. And I do want to talk about that governor's race. First, though, I wanted to hear your thoughts about what the state and our local area endured with what was a hurricane and then Tropical Storm Elsa when it came through this week. There was a lot of damage. More damage, or do you think we were well prepared for this?
I think we're prepared. I think we're well prepared even as a state. I watched a lot of the weather reports from the meteorologists yesterday, almost minute by minute. And it's very difficult to be totally, I would say, expectant of what the weather's, what's actually going to happen. So the tornado issues and the rain, wind, but not as bad as it could have been. Sure. But certainly there was some destruction in Southside.
We're seeing some of that right now. And you referenced, I know Mayor Curry, other local leaders in Jacksonville mentioned it right after the storm had kind of gone through. A tragedy to hear that a young person in this case, but any person driving along and a tree falls and takes their life.
Yes.
It's one of those things, again, as we look at some of the damage from the storm, that you want to be prepared for. You can't always be prepared for the kind of things that will happen in severe weather like this.
That's correct. And unless individuals are on, I'll characterize it as lockdown, you can't control whether or not people leave in their vehicles or otherwise. Some people decided they were going to go to work. And so then they have to turn around then and go home. So there's multiple issues. And I think it may be that if you don't hear the word hurricane, you figure that you're okay. Yeah. But tropical storms are just as deadly.
Yeah, we saw that example. Thank you for chatting with me about that. Let's talk about the news that you made this week concerning the governor's race. Republican Ron DeSantis is up for re-election in 2022. Charlie Crist says he's got your support. We saw a video announcement with you as he decides to run. Why is that, and maybe even why this week for this announcement that we're showing right here?
I'm State Senator Audrey. Charlie has a history in this state. He was a policy maker, so he understands the impact of policy. He knows how to govern because he was a governor. Attorney General, so he understands legal ramifications for the people of the state of Florida when not to join a lawsuit that will negatively impact people in this state. Education commissioner before it was decided in Constitution revision, I think, for that position to be appointed, a political appointment, rather than elected by the people, which I think it should be, because then the people have more say in what happens in our education system. So the experience matters going forward. And I think that our state and the people in our state can gravitate towards an individual to become a governor who understands and who has a heart for the people and shows that he genuinely cares. We have some hollowness, I believe, in the governor's office right now, and we need a change in the state.
So Congressman Crist announced at the beginning of May that he's running for governor. And when he did that, this is not news to you, you'll remember this, he said, Florida should be a place where hard work is rewarded, justice is equal, opportunity is right in front of you. That's a Florida for all, and that's why I'm running for governor. But I would imagine, again, a Democratic leader in the Senate most recently, you probably didn't support him as a Republican governor running for office back in 2006 to take over in 2007, did you?
But the good news is I was in the legislature in the House 2002 to 2010, as a matter of fact. So I had an opportunity to work with him as a member of the legislature and meet with him and talk through those priorities that I had, and certainly as a member of the Black Caucus, we were able to meet with him as well. And so I believe that there's always room for bridge building, and regardless of your party, if you understand the struggles of people, then you can become effective. But when you totally disregard people, regardless of party too, then it's time for you to go.
So let me bring up Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried. She announced early this year she's running for governor. She's the only statewide elected Democrat in Florida, the lone Democrat in the state's cabinet. Is there another Democrat that you would expect is going to be in this race, or is this going to kind of be a showdown between Charlie Crist and Nikki Fried?
I'm not sure at this point. So
it is pretty early, right?
It's still very early, and I think originally Commissioner Fried said she may, and so here we are.
Yeah. Well, Audrey Gibson, I appreciate it. Appreciate that you were able to, as you mentioned, serve in the House, now serving in the Senate. You got that experience with Charlie Crist as he was governor, now a U.S. representative. Appreciate your time and explaining everything.
You're welcome.
All right, so stay with us. Jacksonville's John Rutherford is just ahead, the congressman for Nassau, Duval, and St. Johns County, next on This Week in Jacksonville.
You like it made from scratch?
We know you do.
How about hot and hand-breaded?
That looks crispy.
First thing in the morning.
Not your grandpa's biscuit.
The new hand-breaded chicken biscuit from Hardee's.
Feed your happy.
My smile had taken so much from my life, I just didn't want to wait anymore. Most practices take 6 or 7 months, with many visits for just temporary teeth. I got the all-zirconia D5 procedure done, and I had my final permanent teeth in 1 week.
Are you embarrassed about the condition of your mouth or fear of the dentist? I have found the hardest part for many patients is just picking up the phone to call for your free consultation. I promise your appointment will be low-key and stress-free. You may be only 1 week away from a beautiful smile.
Don't let an X-ray tell you your pain isn't real. We work with doctors who can see what X-rays can't. Farah & Farah, here for you, here for good.
Now through July 16th, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment. So if your fitness plans just went out the window, there's still time to join Planet Fitness and make your workout a win. Get tons of variety in our clean and spacious clubs and use the crowd meter in our app for the best time to visit so you can work out with plenty of room to move. Your fitness is essential, so join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment. Hurry, deal ends July 16th.
The best summer ever. Oh, right.
Outsummer your best summer with great deals at the Toyota Big One sales event.
Best decision ever.
Lease a new 2021 Toyota Highlander LE for just $319 a month for 36 months. Toyota, let's go places.
All New Oz. It's America's favorite seafood, shrimp. But there's so much to choose from. What's the deal with all these different sizes of shrimp? So whether it's fresh, frozen, or fried, everything you need to know to buy better shrimp.
Monday at 10 on Channel 4, the local station.
Hardee's. BLT summer, ranch, what a stunner. I'ma hit the drive through, come right over. BLT ranch with the ice.
Celebrate this summer with the new BLT Ranch Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's. Feed your happy.
This is me. I did my time, but my mugshot exists for the rest of time online.
All the stuff that I've accomplished, I still can't put my name on a rental application.
I know you've been accused, you've been convicted, but I still don't get why.
So we're asking why, revealing how many mugshots are being posted online by every local sheriff's office. The reasons why they put them on the internet and sometimes never take them down.
A Second Shot, Wednesday at 10 p.m. on News 4 Jax. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
U.S. Representative John Rutherford is with us this segment. Congressman, I appreciate the time. I know in district this week and then back to Washington and how you have to manage some of that. But you're here. Hurricane season is also here, as we noticed this week. From your long career in public safety, former sheriff in Jacksonville, how do you feel about local response to what we just saw was the hurricane and then Tropical Storm Elsa as it went through?
You know, I'll tell you, Kent, one of the first things that really struck me about Hurricane Elsa and the coverage, and I actually did watch Channel 4 for most of that coverage, and I have to tell you, I was amazed at the improvements in the technology that I saw in the coverage of where the storm is actually tracking. This debris tracking now, we never had that before. I'm not sure when that started, but I think that was the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, matter of fact, I brought it up with John Gahn while we were going through coverage. I'm like, hey, this is a little different than what we usually see. And it was a chance to talk about some of that technology has changed. So,
and you know, I think what's important too is, you know, like Mayor Curry now has a resilience officer too, who's now going to be looking at some of these areas where we have severe repetitive flooding. And so, you know, I look forward to us getting a handle on that horrible situation on Roosevelt Boulevard with the death from the tree limb.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
You know, our hearts and prayers go out to that family.
Yeah, this is kind of early in the season, but can there be a positive to that? Hey, if it starts early, maybe people say, okay, I don't need to wait until August or September to really be prepared for a hurricane.
Well, and that's, you know, Ken, we spend, Ken, the entire JEA year is spent preparing for hurricane season, I think. And at JSO, we prepare well in advance as well, as you know. And so I think they were very ready to go. Thankfully, it wasn't a serious hit.
Right.
But
might have awakened some people or reminded them I better be ready.
Yeah, get ready.
I do want to talk about transportation a little bit, specifically the bill that you introduced called the Freedom to Fly Act.
Freedom to Fly Act,
You've done this on the House side. Senator Rick Scott's done this on the Senate side. What is this about? And then let's talk through some of the elements of it.
Yeah, well, basically, Kent, what this is recognizing people's privacy rights concerning their medical information and not using public health public safety to trump someone's privacy rights. And so basically what the Freedom to Fly Act does is it says on domestic flights, TSA cannot mandate that people reveal whether they have been vaccinated or not as a precursor to getting onto a flight. And if you think about it, why would we do that? Why do they need to collect that information, number one? Because before there were vaccinations, we were flying with mask on, and that was sufficient for public safety. So now that people are getting vaccinated, now you don't want them to fly unless they're vaccinated, and you know, so
it's safer with the vaccination.
It's really
though, right.
Oh, sure.
It's safer.
Sure.
And I think the counterpoint.
65% of the time.
I think the counterpoint to what you're saying is the world, the country, trying to defeat this coronavirus. So why would you oppose that extra level of safety? I think that's what the other side is saying. Hey,
well, my point is, I don't think it adds an extra layer of safety. I mean, if we're wearing a mask, if I'm not vaccinated, I'm wearing a mask, what difference does it make? Because the mask is the safety, as we heard for a whole year.
All right. I think you had just referenced it. I'd read a statement in your release about the Freedom to Fly Act. You had referred to the guise of public safety, saying it's not a good reason to stomp on Americans' freedoms. But there's nobody, I mean, the TSA or whatever, they're not trying to be deceptive in any way. I mean, the guise sounds like maybe that's a deception.
Yeah. No, what I meant by the guise is taking a step further under the guise of public safety that they don't need to take to have public safety. Yeah. And that's why I call it a guise, because it was sufficient and adequate before that we wear a mask to travel on a plane. I think that should still hold.
Be enough.
And people can make those decisions for themselves. I'm a grown adult. I'll make those decisions for myself. And I don't need the TSA be having access to very personal medical information.
I wanted to get 2 questions in. I think I'm going to slim it down to 1. My next segment is something that you know pretty well. You've agreed to sponsor some legislation about essential caregivers. Our next segment is about that. But quick comments on that bill. Why is that important to you?
Listen, Mary Daniel came to my office. She's an amazing woman. I know you're going to have her on next. I'll let her tell that story, but I will tell you, this is a great example, I think, of someone who has a passion and really making it, not just at the state and local level. Governor DeSantis, I have to say too, stepped up big time on this case and helped move this issue of isolation in these long-term care facilities, and really found a way to open them up to essential caregivers. And as Mary will tell you, Kent, it is essential caregiving that they're doing in those facilities.
Yeah, and in her case that she'll talk about, somebody who's approaching end of life, she has to be there because of her love for her husband. We'll get her story in a moment.
Yeah.
One final note. A colleague in the House, Charlie Crist, former governor, running for governor again. Is he someone that you would support in 2022?
Listen, one of my fellow colleagues in the House is the governor. That's who I'll be supporting.
Not Charlie Crist. And it's, I was just talking about it with Senator Gibson, it's a ways away, but certainly we're going to be talking about it.
And look, I think when you look at the responsiveness of Governor DeSantis, and particularly Mary Daniels would be talking about that in this case too. My question would be, why wouldn't Senator Gibson be supporting Governor DeSantis?
She has some reasons, I'm sure. Congressman Rutherford, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, and glad that in this case we get to talk about some things moving forward to try and help some people. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. So stay with us. Up next, we're just talking about it. The love story that inspired some change. The founder of Caregivers for Compromise, Mary Daniel, is joining us. That's next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Clayton Waycross Home Building Facility is now hiring. Starting pay over $20 an hour. Benefits including a matching 401k. Shifts end at 3:30 daily. No nights or weekends with training provided. Apply today at careers.claytonhomes.com.
Introducing Wendy's new Spicy Black Bean Burger. Bold, spicy, crunchy. You know only Wendy's could bring you flavor this amazing. It's not just good for a plant-based burger. This is good for a burger. We got you with our Spicy Black Bean Burger.
With Week for Life scratch-offs, you can win up to $5,000 a week every week for as long as you live. Yeah! Experience lifelong excitement with Week for Life scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
Claim it! You just want to meet your new niece.
Here she is.
But if slow upload speeds were to freeze your face and you accidentally snub a newborn,
Nothing is ever good enough for you.
just remember, you're not a bad sister.
This is going to be a problem.
You just need better internet.
AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience with 25 times faster upload speeds than cable. Get AT&T Fiber. Plan starting at $35 a month for a year. Limited availability in select areas. Call 1-877-ONLY-ATT.
When a man with a lifelong injury was told by his first attorney that his insurance maxed out at $10,000, he wanted a second opinion. We found hidden in the fine print $450,000. He got every penny. Farah and Farah.
Find a fridge that fits your budget and your good taste. Explore the showrooms of style at Lowe's. Home to any budget. Home to any possibility.
Say you... Carl, what have you done?
Think anyone will notice?
Yes. Yeah.
If you ride, you get it.
Yeah, they will.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Whoever made this weird nugget gave up hope.
But whoever made Arby's new 100% chicken breast nuggets really cares. A lot. The most. 2 for $6. Arby's, we have the meat.
My name is Pretty. I work in exterior top. I helped build the roofs. No, I didn't have no experience, but the training was amazing. Hands-on, and within a week I already knew what I was doing. Come work Clayton Homes. I promise you won't regret it. You love it. It's a good environment, and they'll take care of you.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
Our final guest today has an amazing story, a story that I've had the opportunity to share with you over the past year and more. COVID-19 safety protocols kept her from spending time with her ailing husband in long-term care, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. So, Mary Daniel, welcome back to our station, and you've never left our hearts as we heard your story. So I do want to talk to you about the practical things that are happening and the progress you're making. First, though, just tell people what led you down this path where we're going to talk about the Essential Caregivers Act.
My husband, Steve, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 8 years ago at the age of 59. A couple years ago, I made the decision, the hardest decision I've ever had to make, and I placed him in long-term care at a memory care center here in Jacksonville. I visited every night, got him ready for bed. It was a great routine for us. I would lay with him. We would watch our regular shows until he drifted off to sleep. And I did that on March 11th. I came in, saw him, left like any other normal day, and I got a call from them on March 12th that said, you can't come back.
Yeah, this is 2020, more than a year ago. They said you can't come back, and you said there's got to be another way. So as we've chronicled over the last year plus, you took some other steps, including getting a job at the long-term care facility so you could be with him. Tell me about this Essential Caregivers Act that was introduced. I just spoke briefly with Congressman Rutherford about it. What is this, and why does this have the potential to make a difference for you and other families?
This is a federal bill, so it would apply to all rehab centers, nursing homes, any facility that takes federal money, Medicaid, Medicare, and it would establish an essential caregiver designation to people chosen by the family member, the resident, and it would mean any time in the future that there is a national health emergency again, like COVID, we would be allowed in. The essential caregiver would be allowed in, just like staff. We would follow the same protocol as staff. We know here in Florida that that worked. When I got let in as staff, I was able to safely see my husband. And on September 1st, when we transitioned with an essential caregiver designation by the governor, we actually had 0 cases of family members bringing it in. So we are a good example of how this plan can actually work, safely visiting our loved ones, even if in the middle of another emergency.
So, Congressman, you just mentioned Governor DeSantis. When we first met a year ago, you said, I've got to do whatever I can to get Governor DeSantis' attention to bring this to him, and so that worked, right?
It did.
So on this platform, you're saying, hey, we need everybody in America, every state, to be able to have some of that essential caregiver designation, right?
Correct. I called, at the very beginning, I called Congressman Rutherford and asked for his help. And he was very helpful in connecting me to different people and different ways of trying to get in before we actually got the essential caregiver designation. When I called him this time for the federal bill, he immediately said, I'm 100% behind this. I will call. He became an original co-sponsor, so when the bill was introduced, his name was on it as well. He was with us last week at a press conference in Washington, D.C., introduced me there, which was such a thrill to have him. He has been really by our side from the very beginning, so I'm thrilled to have his support.
You said it's been 8 years since Steve was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. In that time, and I know from work with the Alzheimer's Association over the years here in Jacksonville, it is such a tough disease to walk through, not just for the patient, but for family members, for the people who love those folks with the disease. Is there some part of this where you're able to look at that and say, you know what, because of what Steve and I are going through, I'm able to help other families, whether it's Alzheimer's disease or not? We've got video that you shared with me a year ago of you and this love story that you have with your husband. As tough as this is going through this, you're doing some things to try and make it better for others, right?
It's crazy that the toughest decision I ever made, placing him there, has made such a difference for so many people across the United States. It was such a hard decision, and then to be locked out was so difficult for so many people. But this could change things for a very, very long time, really essentially forever, in that we will never be locked out again. We know that COVID kills, And we understand the reason why the lockdown was made, but we also know that isolation kills too, and this will keep that from ever happening again.
So help us understand, we have a couple of minutes left, but help us understand the difference for Steve when you weren't able to have interaction with him, and the difference now that you are able to resume that going and having a routine and being there with him and constantly being in his life.
He was alone. The staff did the best that they could, but there were many parts of caring for him that were not done. Hygiene things that personal things that I do. The light bulbs were out in his room. He had lost his glasses. Being there with our loved ones not only provides a functional role where we actually help the staff, but then I'm there to rub his back and to give him a hug. He still doesn't know that I was a dishwasher. He doesn't know about COVID. He has no clue about that. What he knows is my love and my touch, and he is happier with me with him. And I'm happier with him, knowing that I'm giving him the care that I promised him so many years ago when he was diagnosed.
You know, just on a personal note, where is he in this disease? We know that there's no winning against it, but where does he stand and compared to last year?
He is severely declining. I just spent 4 days with him. I took him to be with his kids and his grandkids at a vacation home that my family has, and it has been heartbreaking. I'm so grateful to the staff. When I see the work that's entailed in having to care for him day in and day out, every hour of every day, he needs help with every single aspect of his life. And so I'm so grateful for the staff of having this option. It's heartbreaking to see your husband having to go through this, and I can't dream of not being with him. We can never let that happen again. I have to be with him. I promised him I would be, and I will be till the very end.
Do you remember when we first interviewed here? And I had these tears in my eyes then. So you did it again. Mary, thank you, because that love story that you're telling also shows what lengths you'll go to try and make sure that not just you, but other families don't have to experience that again. Mary, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, all right, moving forward here. Senator Rick Scott, he's on the calendar to join us next week. Florida's junior senator pushed for an emergency declaration ahead of Elsa. He's also pushing to slow the spending on Capitol Hill. We'll have a visit with him next week. This Week in Jacksonville airs each Sunday morning this time. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching today on air on Channel 4. You can watch us on the CW 17, and you'll find other episodes online at news4jax.com.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.